Hey guys, this is Jay here with FantasyLabs, and this is the first video of a new series that I created where I'm going to teach you how to transition from a fish to a shark for MLB DFS by using our data and tools. This is going to be a progressive series, so each video will be more advanced and contain more in-depth strategies than the previous video. I like to think of you at the beginning, starting out as a minnow, struggling to find your way in the ocean, or the DFS ecosystem, and hopefully after a few videos you'll evolve into some type of difficult to catch tuna, before finally after the last video becoming a veteran bull shark with serrated teeth and plenty of experience. Please know, however, that this is a loose metaphor and I'm not insinuating that once you become a shark you can hunt baby minnows in $1 50/50s or whatever. When you evolve into a tuna fish and grow your bankroll, you'll have to play other tuna fish at equal stakes. This is just kind of how the DFS ecosystem works. Keep in mind though that you can still be the alpha tuna, so it's all good. For the purpose of this first video, I'm more speaking to players who are the minnows of DFS and for whatever reason haven't yet attempted to play MLB or have played a little but have had little to no success. So these reasons are why you may just not enjoy suffering through a 3.5 hour game, which I totally understand, or you might be intimidated by the amount of data that your opponents have at their disposal. Either way, I'm here to help you make the jump with the aid of FantasyLabs and everything that we have to offer. This first video that I'm doing will kind of focus on all of our free tools and how you can utilize them to build a foundation in MLB DFS so you can grasp the basics before jumping to the next level. I'll start off with the lineups page, which might just be my personal favorite free tool for MLB that we have. You can think of us at this point as a restaurant, and this is our complimentary chips and salsa for the table. Bomb chips and salsa though. And real quick, the first thing you should do, you see this banner here, you should sign up for a free membership so you can, be part of the squad and get access to really cool stuff. So you just click this banner, fill out your email address, uh, whatever it may be, click join now, and boom, you're on the team. So I definitely recommend that. And let's get back to the lineups page real quick. Looking at this lineups page, no, that's not. That's a fake email address, Google. I don't want to say this and come across as like incredibly biased or anything, but I really can't imagine before the site existed, even in MLB, that there is a better and simpler page to kind of display lineups than what we have. You can see so many great features on this page, from weather to implied run totals to line movement that is constantly updated. You look at MLB as a whole, it's a sport unlike NBA, for example. You don't really have to follow a news feed for the entirety of a day or constantly be checking lineups early in the morning on most days. So if you do want to get a jump on some of your research though ahead of time, you can look at our lineups page and see that all the lineups are projected every single day. It's constantly updated with injuries, resting players before the lineups are actually confirmed. So that's a way to kind of get a jump, a head start on your research, just kind of anticipating who's going to play before they are confirmed. This is definitely advantageous for the West Coast games, especially, as you'll kind of have a good idea of what lineups the teams will use, helping you anticipate who you want to play from those late games. So kind of looking at this page, if you're not really familiar with it, throughout the day, lineups will come in and the red unconfirmed banner will change to a green confirmed banner when the lineup is official. After these are all official, these team value ratings will change, implied runs will change as well throughout the day, and you can easily view this stuff for every single game, every single team. You can click on players as well to kind of pull up their player card, view free information and advanced data for every single player. So scrolling through, I'm going to pick the worst player in MLB. Let me find him. Alright, here he is. So just as an example, I'll pull up the worst player in baseball, Giancarlo Stanton. As you can see, it's pretty gross. It's the red wedding all over again. So you can look at his game log and see down here that he has more strikeouts in his last 15 games than I had chicken nuggets today, and I ate 24 of them. So it's been pretty rough for Stanton this season so far. For something actionable with the lineups page that you can use since it's free, something I recommend doing is highlighting the scarce positions to see where players are projected or confirmed in the lineups. So an example of this would be to highlight the catcher position, which you can just click catcher up at the top and kind of see uh, if you can take advantage of any catchers hitting kind of at the top of the lineup or whatnot. So as you can see, most catchers do hit in unfavorable spots in the lineup. Uh, but if we scroll down far enough, we can get to Brian McCann, who is expected to hit in a favorable spot in the lineup, and he adds the benefit of playing at Coors Field. So this is a pretty simple slate, and where McCann is arguably your #1 catcher on the slate. Yankees are currently implied to score 5.9 runs, so that's kind of your target at catcher. Another example is if you kind of need to find an outfielder, say on FanDuel, who's under 2,500 to fill out your last spot. You can click FanDuel up here, you can click outfield here, and see which players fit the parameter. And here you can set to 2,500 max. So scrolling down here, you can see that Jeff Francoeur right here is projected to hit cleanup. He's 2,400, so that makes him a potential tournament play to kind of save money on this slate. So these are ways you can kind of gain an edge using our free tools to help you construct your roster ahead of time. And I pretty much always have a tab open of the lineups page, and it's usually specifically centered on the Rockies because I'm always, just as well as everybody else who plays MLB DFS, waiting for Walt Weiss to presumably give his lineup card to Littlefinger to presumably be transported via a Mockingbird across the Seven Kingdoms right in time before lineups lock. If you're coming from NBA and still haven't really made the dive into MLB, Walt Weiss is essentially the Scott Skiles of MLB. We can keep it moving though and touch up on the free Vegas page next. And if you're unfamiliar, Bales did a fantastic detailed video tutorial on this page under our Learn section that you should definitely check out. So I won't spend too much time here. Basically though, this page tracks all the Vegas data for every team, for every slate, and is constantly updated throughout the day. So here you can track any line movement, percentage of bets placed on the over-under, as well as the money line. Probably my favorite feature on this page that I recommend focusing on for tournaments is reverse line movement, and we make it very simple. You can see in the top we actually have a reverse line movement column. So scrolling down, we can see so far, let's see, the Rangers are actually the only team with reverse line movement that fits the criteria, and it fits negatively. So this is because their implied run total has dropped 0.3 runs despite receiving 74% of the money line bets. So reverse line movement in this regard suggests that Sharks are placing money against the Rangers. And you can see that they're actually underdogs now to the Athletics. So looking at this, you can kind of identify this movement and use it as an advantage in tournaments because we are leveraging data from actual Sharks to gain an advantage. We're also receiving this data that is updated constantly, which is unparalleled in the industry, and it's free. So this Rangers example at 0.3 runs is just kind of a minor indication of reverse line movement. Oftentimes you'll see a much larger disparity between percentage of bets and implied run totals. Looking throughout this page again, another feature I recommend utilizing for tournaments more so is the team value rating, which is one of my favorite things about some of our free features. And keeping it on the same game, you can see that the Athletics have a team value rating on DraftKings of 74, even though they're implied to score just 4.3 runs, which isn't that significant. So if we go back to the lineups page and find the Athletics, we can see that they have some cheap players in their projected lineup, which is probably why, and this is on FanDuel, I believe. We'll switch back to DraftKings. So yeah, we have some guys who are pretty cheap. Obviously, Coco Crisp at 2,700. In the middle of the order, Chris Davis and Billy Butler are both cheap, so that's why the team value rating is pretty high. The Oakland stack is affordable. It could prove to be contrarian enough in tournaments to offer value, and cheap enough to potentially afford Madison Bumgarner as your pitcher against the Brewers, just as an example. So these are all kind of ways to where you can leverage advantages based on the Vegas page. Moving on, again, we can head to the free ratings page, which includes plus minus, bargain players, salary change, pro trends, upside, and consistency. Each tab has a detailed description. We also have tutorial videos as well on what to look for exactly on this page. So again, I won't spend too much time here, but as far as kind of translating this information into your lineups and your overall strategy, I recommend first looking at the Pro Trends tab and identify some players that stand out to you. So looking at this, a hitter that really stands out to me, looking at DraftKings, is Jay Bruce, who has 12 Pro Trends. And you can actually click on the 12 to see what these Pro Trends are and kind of read through them and understand why that adds value to his projection and his rating. So you look at the Reds on this slate. They're currently only implied to score 3.9 runs, so it's not necessarily a team that I want to actively stack, but I'd like to get exposure to Bruce, who relies on home runs as a pretty large part of his value and upside. So when you subscribe and are able to see our player models, you can easily see that Julio Teheran serves up a pretty healthy amount of home runs. So Bruce, in this regard, makes sense as a standalone tournament play to complement another team stack. And looking at this page some more, I think you can definitely utilize upside and consistency. I'll log in now, actually. It doesn't even remember me. That's kind of sad. So yeah, I like to use the upside and consistency of the ratings page to differentiate tournament players from cash players, although they're definitely not always exclusive from each other. I generally look towards players with great upside as tourney plays and players with high consistency as cash plays due to an elevated floor. So these are just a few examples of how to utilize our ratings page to make you a better overall player and help you construct lineups in an easier fashion. So I'll jump next to our news page really quick and kind of explain how you can use this to your advantage. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, MLB doesn't particularly rely on news as much as other sports, especially NBA. Instead, we like to focus on advanced statistics that have produced positive results over a long period of time to help predict a player's potential output. Then we can combine this data with line movements, slight changes in confirmed lineups to take advantage of pricing inefficiencies on either site, since of course pricing is static and value is not. And this is really kind of the basic essence of MLB DFS, and it's really a great way to understand how to gain an edge against your opponents. Even with all that said, there's definitely still some impactful news that needs to be broken down, and this could be significant lineup changes or players sitting out who have positive or negative outcomes on any given slate. So what we do for the news page is we take these changes and alert you guys as soon as possible and then break down the subsequent effects. So going down to, let's see, Malik Smith is an example at the bottom here. We could easily just say, Malik Smith is leading off, but we really want to break down what this means and what you should do with this information. So looking at Malik's leading off, it's his 8th time hitting leadoff this season. The Braves were implied to score, their highest run total of the season. We saw them come through pretty big. They were facing a poor pitcher. Malik's was only 2,500 on FanDuel, which definitely thrusted himself into cash game consideration. And of course, he responded by getting on base 3 times, scoring 2 runs, and registering 2 stolen bases. So our news page as a whole just kind of breaks down important information. I think it's ultimately a guidance tool to help clarify what to do with certain changes. Definitely a page I think you want to spend some time on throughout the day, just getting some information to help you build your teams. Alright, finally I'll head to our trends page, which was recently changed to a free feature. And this is arguably our most powerful tool and one that you can spend a lot of time on, but also gain large advantages with. You can view, as you can see here, all of our pro trends that have historically produced value, or you can create your own trends with whatever criteria you want using our advanced database. So we have several in-depth videos kind of on our trends tool throughout this season and other sports as well. And then also trend of the day articles multiple times per week. So I'll keep this short and show you one example of how I use the trends tool on a daily basis. So for this slate, I'll focus on finding a trend that produces a positive output for pitchers. If you have listened to any of our podcasts for MLB or read any of our articles or breakdowns, you'll know that we place heavy emphasis on strikeouts for pitchers. So I think one of a very simple way to backtest how important strikeouts are, while using one of my favorite advanced features in the K predictor, you can set up a trend for pitchers by going to trends here, K prediction, and set up a trend for pitchers who are projected to register over 8 strikeouts according to the K predictor. So we can move the slider or type in 8, which would have been easier, but it's too late to do that now. There we go. So we can go ahead and create this trend. And you can see in a sec, in 326 instances, these pitchers have produced a plus minus of 4.45 points above salary-based expectation with a consistency of 65%. So this is just a very basic trend, something you can look at. It takes mere seconds, and you can see it has a very positive impact on pitchers who fit this trend. And once you are a premium subscriber, which I logged in, and luckily I am a premium subscriber, you can view the current matches, which I think is really important to kind of gauge who fits this trend for that night, the slate you're obviously focusing on. So you can see the current matches for this trend are Kenta Maeda, Drew Pomeranz, and Madison Bumgarner, who fit this mold. So those are 3 pitchers with a prediction of strikeouts over 8. So I think this is just one of hundreds of ways really to extract value from our trends tool. And all of these trends can be incorporated into your models in the future as well. Before I end this video, I can't forget to advise you to view our MLB homepage each day and kind of spend some time here. I think each day you want to read this, you kind of want to read through all of our daily content to help with your lineups and especially help with your overall process, which we always stress pretty big here at Fantasy Labs. We got John Daigle, who writes detailed previews every single day, help pinpoint plays and strategy for each slate. We have a rotating cast of incredible writers, including Brian Mears and Sheriff Bill, who produce trends of the day, advanced data articles, recent form reports, and several other topics daily. We also have, in my opinion, the best writer in all of DFS, and Matthew Friedman, who is probably the only person in the world who can tie together polar bears and the lost art of spearfishing with DFS and make you a better player. Seriously though, looking at his articles, they really are insanely good. So I think using this, kind of our articles and our homepage, which has everything, all of our written content, you can supplement our free tools with our free content to kind of get a massive head start on anyone else who's just learning MLB DFS. Looking at this all together, it really is kind of an all-you-can-eat feel for free, so definitely take advantage. We kind of have a golden corral up in here. So to end, I definitely suggest you familiarize yourself with our free tools to the point where you are at least comfortable navigating the site and creating lineups on FanDuel and DraftKings using all of our free tools that make you at least somewhat confident in your lineups. I recommend, after watching this video and wanting to try out MLB DFS hopefully, that you first enter some free games or possibly some low buy-in, large field 50-50s or double ups to compete with other minnows, which you presumably are watching this video. We'll get into more advanced stuff in future videos. So I'll show you really quick how to do this on FanDuel. You can just create a contest. Sad to see that MLB is our only sport right now, but it is what it is. You can I'll do the main slate, and you can just click free practice, create one head-to-head, and you can fill out your team and just click create one head-to-head. If you want to play for small money, you're just kind of getting used to it. Maybe see how highly owned your guys are in cash. I recommend maybe sorting by size, maybe entering this $2 double up that has 14,000 people in it. So something like that I recommend starting with for you guys who haven't yet started MLB DFS. I realize it's very difficult to start playing a sport this late into the season kind of, but I don't think it's too late to learn and hone your process and get a lot better. So using our free tools, I really do think they're certainly adequate in surviving these low stakes games and staying afloat. But I think to really maximize your potential as a player and maximize your potential profit and advance from a minnow to maybe a puffer fish, for example, our premium tools will absolutely advance you to that next level. So I'll have the next video out, which will touch up on a few more advanced things regarding our paid model and our models and lineup builders. I'll have that video out later this week to show you guys how to grow a bankroll by using those premium tools. And until then, best of luck with the free tools, and don't hesitate to ask any questions in the meantime.